like to do these reviews off rip. I used to write these reviews, but Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I loved the first movie. I thought the first movie was great. I thought the first movie did an amazing job at explaining and telling us who Miles Morales was and what he represents to Spider-Man fans and Marvel fans, I suppose. So I was a bit skeptical going into this sequel, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So I guess actually it's called Across the Spider-Verse. So I'm gonna pause every time so I don't just trail off, ramble off, stay focused, talk, pause, and I'll yeah, but what I was trying to say was I love Miles Morales. I think Sony has done a great job at bringing Miles Morales to life and fleshing out his character a bit better. I know Insomniac has done that as well with Miles, and has showed us a deeper side and story to Miles Morales. I know, for me anyways, I kind of always just looked at Miles as a kind of a token character. Now I mean that there's no other way I can say that, but like a token, like just a black Spider-Man, a black Puerto Rican Spider-Man. Which is, that's just what I've always felt him as. But with Sony and Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, they've really evolved and showed that Miles is much more than that. He's much more than just a token Spider-Man. And he's much more than just the black Spider-Man. And Into the Spider-Verse did a great job at fleshing out his character a bit more and introducing us to Miles. And I feel Across the Spider-Verse does an even better job at showing who Miles is and what he's truly about. And yeah. The story for Across the Spider-Verse is magnificent. Along with the writing. The writing is brilliant. I love how complex but how simple they were able to make it. And that's the thing about this movie. It's complex, there's a lot of moving pieces, but it never really feels like you're bogged down or you're losing track of what's going on. They're always able to bring it back. There's never really any plot holes. I mean, none that I could really see, but I'd have to see it again if there's any plot holes or anything. None that I could catch on off rip. But yeah, the writing is really good. When I was comparing it to Attack on Titan levels of writing, but with in a movie, a Spider-Man. It's really good. I think if you're into animation and really like good stories told through animation, then I think Across the Spider-Verse is a great film for you to watch. It the animation is really it is solid. It's a solid animation. It's so unique and so refreshing to see that type of animation than what we've been getting. Like a lot of Disney movies, a lot of Pixar movies, all that jazz. they have to be picture perfect, and if they're not perfect, then you look at like Zootopia, or even you look at Pixar animations like Toy Story 4, Moana. Drawing a blank right. But yeah, a lot of the animations are just perfect. They're picture perfect. And I love how unique Spider-Man animation is. And it feels like it has its own personality. Like Secret Life of Pets is another good example. Perfect, picture perfect animation. Gotta look absolutely look perfect. And I just love how Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse movie have like this uniqueness to them that's so prevalent in these movies. And it's like it's its own thing. It's its own personality. If it went to like a picture perfect Secret Life of Pets animation, I probably wouldn't like it as much. I mean, if the writing's the same, yeah, I probably still like it. But if the writing was just a bit off, and the animation was like Secret Life of Pets, then I could see myself not enjoying this film because it has no personality. It'll feel like everything else. But these movies feel like you're watching a comic book, and I love that about this movie. Like you're watching. It feels like an actual comic book movie. Like I feel like I'm watching a comic book motion picture comic book, and it's really cool. They use a lot of comic book lettering and font and pictures on screen, and it's really nice. The one big one though that I saw that happened a lot in this movie was when so spoilers right here, you've been warned. So in the beginning of the movie, Gwen Stacy and Spider-Gwen and her dad are having a conversation, and the background changes like every shot. And I guess for some it could be a bit jarring, but for me, I thought it was a really nice artistic choice. And then again, when Captain Stacy finds out that Gwen is Spider-Woman, he points a gun at her and like, get your hands in the air, get on the ground. And the background changes through their conversation. It's really beautiful. I love it. I love it. I think it doesn't look too jarring. It flows nicely. It doesn't take away from the moment that they're in, because the background composes beautifully in that emotional moment between Gwen Stacy and her father. And I really love that about this movie. I love that about this movie, how it does that, and it's able to do that quite well. It's never straying off, and it uses music to its advantage. See, a lot of movies, they have these emotional moments, but the music will just be a bit off, and it will feel a bit jarring, and it will just take away from what's going on. And a lot of movies just can't do that quite well. And I was surprised to see it in animation like this. And they're able to do it so well through the music, because they'll have like a goofy, silly moment at one point in the movie, and then it will like turn immediately to an emotional moment, but it doesn't feel jarring, or like that it feels like it comes out of nowhere, because they use music to help transition to that, from that goofy, silly moment to that emotional moment. to where it needs to be. And yeah, it's really good. The Spider-Mans that return in this movie are all of them. So you got your Porky, Spider Porky, Spider Noir, but those two don't return until the end. But Penny, the anime one, does return kind of in the mid movie, but she doesn't really do much. She doesn't really have lines. She says like, "Hey Miles," and stuff like that, and Miles says, "Oh, it's Penny." But yeah, and it's really the Spider-Men in this are really good. I think all the Spider-Men that they include in this movie that are on screen, which is mostly every single one you can think of, is pretty good. They never feel like it's jarring. Even it's kind of interesting because they have Insomniac Peter Parker in this movie. He makes a little cameo, and it's kind of cool. And he's like, but what's also interesting is Miles Morales' roommate at the one school that he goes to. He's actually, I didn't catch this the first time, but when I caught it the second time. He's actually playing Spider-Man PS4 or PS5, or he's playing Spider-Man, the Insomniac video game, and it was really interesting. It was really cool seeing that. I was thinking, well, I wonder why the Insomniac Spider-Man never made an appearance in the Spider-Verse, because you have all these Spider-Men who are making the you have even Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in this movie, and it's used really well. When Andrew Garfield comes on screen, it's not like I'm not gonna lie, it is kind of a bit jarring seeing Andrew Garfield there, because he kind of just, but it doesn't take away too much from what they're trying to say. It does give like a bit of like that MCU kind of cameo like delay where it's kind of like awkward. They're like waiting for for cheers or something like that. And yeah, it was a bit jarring, but it didn't feel like that bad, because I know they were trying to convey that Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man are in the Spider-Verse, and they're not leaving them behind. They are going to represent them and respect them to the fullest. And I love that. I love that they did that. When Andrew Garfield came on screen, I was actually like, because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. My favorite Spider-Man is actually Andrew Garfield. And, I grew up with Andrew Garfield Spider-Man back in the day. Oh, I mean, I grew up with Tobey Maguire's too, but, Andrew Garfield, I always felt more connected to Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and his sort of being. Anyways, when he come on screen, I was like, okay, let's freaking go. That's what I'm talking about. And this movie just really feels like almost like a love letter to Spider-Man. I don't want to that sounds kind of corny, but it's not. It feels like a love letter to Spider-Man, but it also feels like a Spider-Man Infinity War, and the next one is Endgame. So Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is Infinity War, and Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse is the Endgame. Yeah. So that should be interesting. That's what it feels like anyway. It feels like it's gonna be like a big battle, like an Endgame-esque battle. I thought it was cool having. I thought it was really neat having Miles Morales. Even though deep down he probably understands that he can't save his dad, that he's still going to try, because that is the most Spider-Man thing you can. That is the most Spider-Man thing to do. That's the most Tobey Maguire Peter Parker thing to do. The most Andrew Garfield Peter Parker thing to do. The most Tom Holland Peter Parker thing to do. And, it's the most Spider-Man thing. And I really like that. I really like that element. Because even though all the other Spider-Mans are telling him, no, it won't work, it's just how it has to be, it feels like it doesn't matter. Because Miles Morales, even though he probably knows deep down that he's not going to be able to save his dad, he's still going to try. It won't stop him from trying. And I love that. I love that. It really feels Spider-Man. It feels like he's Spider-Man. Like, he is who he says he is. He is the Spider-Man. Maybe not your Spider-Man, but he's definitely a great Spider-Man. What else was I going to say? I'm going to pause. Okay, I just got my thought back. So, the plot of the movie is basically the same plot as Loki. MCU's Loki. But I actually believe, down to my heart, that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse does it better. You know, you have the Spider-Man acting as Miguel O'Hara acting as or for those who don't know, Spider-Man 2099 acting as the Time Police, or the TVA? Is it TVA? I forgot. TVA, ATV, ATM. They're acting as the ATV, basically, or the TVA, the Time Police. And I think they do it better here. I think the plot is done better here in this movie. And that's what I think Loki probably should have been, just a movie. Because it could have been just a 2-hour, 30-minute movie, like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And I think Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, I think Sony showed him how to do it and how to do it better. And I think, I really think they did it better. Well, I'm trying to. The Miles Morales, again, like I said, they really expanded on his story here, and I think they did an amazing job at that. You know, giving him more conflict and what it truly means to be Spider-Man. And, you know, it's interesting because we've always, you know, especially when I was growing up with the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, we've always looked at him as not being able to, you know, show his identity or have anyone to relate to. And with Miles Morales, it's interesting because he and like Spider-Gwen and, you know, all of them don't have to relate with that, don't have to deal with that as much because they have this, you know, outlet. It's really interesting, actually, think about it. This outlet to... It might have gotten close to it during the video, but they have an outlet. They don't have to feel alone being Spider-Man. And I love that about this. All right, so for the sake of making sure that this video doesn't go too long, I'm going to give you my final thoughts on this video. No, I'm not. Sorry. This movie, and I'm gonna give you a rating. And I think this movie actually will be better than the next one, just like how Infinity War is better than Endgame, factually. And so I'm gonna give this one a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I really loved it. I really had a good time with this movie. The movie really does and feels like it respects and loves Spider-Man. And I think Sony still having Spider-Man is probably the best route for Spider-Man. They probably won't have Spider-Man for too much longer, but I still believe that Sony is probably the best choice for Spider-Man. I think MCU has... Well, I don't want the MCU to have Spider-Man. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think they do a good job with Spider-Man. If out of all the Spider-Man movies, out of all the superhero movies that will have a downfall, I think Spider-Man is the one that probably won't. Because he's I don't know, he's an icon. He's like he's complex, he's relatable. He's one of the last true heroes that, you know, we look up to. And sorry if this got a little melodramatic, but yeah, that's how I feel. I think Spider-Man is one of the greatest superheroes, up there with Batman and Superman, and one of the most memorable ones. And that's why we love Spider-Man. We love how he's just this guy who's just trying to do what's right at the end of the day. He's not trying to save the world. No, he's trying to be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And so, yeah, a 9 out of 10 for this movie. I definitely recommend you go watch it if you haven't already in theaters. I think the theater experience is much better. And, yeah, that's all I've got for you for today. Remember to follow God, stay safe, protect your energy, and without further ado, peace!